This discussion is for informational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation of an offer to buy or sell securities. This is not a recommendation to trade, buy, or sell any companies discussed. We recommend you consult with a professional investment advisor before transacting in any securities mentioned in this discussion. By viewing or listening to this event, you agree to the terms and conditions which you can view in full at msmicrocaps.com.
Okay, so here we go. So tell me about yourself. I mean, let's talk about your journey, man. I love to hear about your life before investing and what got you investing. And then we'll talk about your investment process, how you pick stocks, what you don't like to do, and about your Substack, of course, and what brought that all together. So let's give us that brief history, man, of your journey to where you're at today.
Yeah, sure. So first, I started to work in PwC as consultant, and there I went into like a lot of financial statements for many companies. So I learned how to audit all these, let's say, small numbers and how actually company can present themselves in front of investors. After that, I went into more like sell-side analyst position in a bank where I worked in one large like CE bank, and I helped many institutional investors with regards to their decisions when they would make like some kind of investment. So it would be more like financial analysis type of work. That's something I did for 7 years, and after that, I decided to open my own consultancy where I helped clients, whether like investment management funds or individual investors. So with let's say making boring stuff more simple. So a lot of automation and AI implementations. I did these kind of projects. But I also found very interesting some kind of technologies that are emerging, and one of these was actually space technology, and then uh, that's how I actually ended up opening Substack, where I started to write what I analyze and what I cover. So I wanted to share that with more people, and that's how I built that newsletter that I see growing now every day. So I guess that there are like more and more people that are interested in this kind of things as well.
Beautiful. And where are you actually located? Where's home base for you?
It's in Croatia. Yeah.
Great, great. Okay, beautiful. And have you visited the U.S. at all? Have you lived in the U.S. for any period of time during your investment career, or your career?
No, no, not really. So I've been in Europe mostly. I went like I know to travel around Europe, but I plan to go to US. I didn't go yet, uh, but I will. Yeah.
Great, great. So let's get into the process. So you kind of discovered through your kind of what you were doing in your regular job. You think, hey, space is interesting.
Mhm.
And so when you look at this right now, and you look at space right now as you're moving forward here, I'd like to understand before we get into kind of your investment process and how you find companies, what are some of the things attracting you to this industry and this sector? And then I want to get in some themes and kind of areas you're looking at in particular, what you see going on right now in this world of space.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so when you look at this industry, it's quite small, so it's not like the biggest industry that you'll find. Uh, but I see that it is emerging. So there are like a f- more like a few companies that are public, but I'm more working on the, let's say, private company side, um, and trying to see these emerging companies that will become like very valuable one day.
Hmm.
But of course, I'm not sure if your audience is um, like investing in public companies or also like private ones.
Yeah, so basically, we mainly public companies,
Mhm.
but we are kind of dipping our feet into, looking at the private world to help. our network understand even the public markets. I think that's important, to some degree. And yeah, and really because some of the private companies will tell you where things are going, maybe even before you see it in the public markets, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So really I think it would be kind of cool to understand even the process of finding these ideas through the private lens also.
Mhm.
It'll still help us think about how we look at public companies.
Yeah.
So I think it's all tied in together, and I think there's going to be a point. I mean, some of our members and subscribers do invest in private companies, like in private deals and things like that. So I think that will be useful.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to private companies, I would say it's actually very useful. That's what I do, like on my Substack as well. I cover like a few public companies, like Rocket Lab, Firefly. I will also cover some additional companies, um, and it's great because when it comes to public companies, there is like a lot of public information, of course, that the companies need to report uh, each quarter. And then I use that kind of information to also, let's say, do some kind of prediction of private companies that have quite limited information. But this public information gives me a lot of insights. How what I can expect from a similar company that is private and doesn't publish that much information. So that's why I also combine both of these worlds.
Okay.
And yeah, because it's space tech, there isn't so much like public companies, but still you can get like some kind of matrix and do some kind of valuation based on that as well.
Okay. Now,
Um, yeah.
are you actually investing in some of these private companies too? Or is that part of your strategy also right now, or are you investing only in the public companies, or both?
Only in the public companies, I'm helping like with due diligence. So I use like my expertise, my consultancy, right? And then I help like some kind of some investors that are emerging into space tech, and I also like connect them with some other, let's say, specific niche experts that can help them with even, let's say, deeper due diligence for their cases. Because when it comes to space technology, it's always very new. It's a lot of, let's say, research and development, and there is a lot of uncertainty if that kind of technology will actually succeed or not, right? So there is like a big need of very specific, let's say, university experts that can actually de-risk this kind of technology and help investors to earn their money, right, and reduce the risk. So that's the goal here.
Okay, cool. So if somebody wants to understand how to follow these trends in the private markets, I mean, obviously they can go to your Substack, right, and they can see what's going on there. But I
Yeah.
mean, how do you source your ideas? How do you find these companies? Are you looking at theme first, then company, or do you have sources you use to find these companies yourself? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to space technology, it's so if you look a bit at history, how this sector, let's say, performed, it was mostly like government financed, right? But nowadays, it's still mostly like government financed, but we see more and more investment. So if I'm right, like 10 years ago in 2017, so a bit less, there was like a few, like five venture capitals, and today there is like 300 venture capitals that are investing in this kind of technology and more. Uh, Based on that, one thing that I follow to find like some kind of companies that are, let's say, emerging is to track actually this, let's say, government contracts and what is happening, which companies are getting which contracts, and that gives me some kind of clue where technology is moving, and it gives me also clue what kind of companies have traction, right, and what they will earn in the next few years.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's something I want to understand too. So of you're talking about what they will earn or what the revenues and income they may make in the future, but a lot of the stuff you're looking at more early stage, or are you looking across many different continuums of that, like, early stage, right in the middle there, or mature companies potentially now getting involved in the space through components and other things? I'm wondering, you look at all those pockets, or do you have one specialty pocket you like to look at?
For now, I'm working at almost everything, even like pre-seed, so very early ideas, to public companies, which I do analysis for. So I try to, specialize strongly into this field, like space technology, and then cover the whole industry, like from idea to then like a public company. And it's not such a big industry, so that's possible in some extent. If you, I think if you take like some other industry like healthcare or something, that won't be possible, right?
Right. Excellent. So, I'm curious, for example, if you take us like through, I'm looking at, Rocket Labs here, right?
Mhm.
What's their symbol?
R key B
Okay. So
speaker,
tell me a
right?
little, can you tell me a little about that company? And I have you right up here looking at, what attracted you to this, and um, kind of where that sits right now in the space industry in terms of risk, speculation, what you think these guys can do revenue wise, income wise, if you even gone that far yet in your analysis.
I mean, Rocket Lab is very, I would say, promising company that is starting to emerge. So there are like a few companies in the world that are producing reusable rockets, right? And everybody knows about SpaceX, so that is commercial, right? And the second one is actually Rocket Lab. I mean, there are like a few emerging startup companies in Europe and US, and this gives actually you the answer why I need to track also private companies from like idea stage, because they can emerge, and then they can become like a competitor of Rocket Lab, right?
Mhm.
Um, so when it comes to Rocket Lab, I don't have like uh, the exact numbers in my head, but they've been increasing like revenue each quarter. They've been increasing cadence. Cadence is the how often they launch like the rocket, right? So they've been increasing that number as well each year, each quarter actually. And the stock price is also has also performed very very
I see
good.
that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, in
Like
the
20,
last like year.
it was like
Uh,
$20 in March of last year, and now it's $86 now. I think it got to 100 for almost touched 100, or did it at 99.58? So it got close. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Yeah. Because when you talk with anybody in the space industry, there is like a big need of more, let's say, rockets, like more launch vehicles that will put something in the orbit. So there is a big need for that, and you know, when you do like partially reusable rocket, that lowers the cost of putting something in the space, right? So that's the companies that are able to do this have like some sort of competitive advantage, like SpaceX has. The second like business segment that Rocket Lab has is also they are producing like satellites and all these things to for the satellites. To make it like more simple, um, and that's where they see the most profit. Um, so that's something that is also like interesting, but I don't see that segment increasing as much as the launch one, because they are also producing now the new rocket Neutron code, which will become like fully reusable. And then when the rocket is fully reusable, they're able to reduce the cost, and even more increase the cadence because they don't need to build from the start the rocket. So and they have good track record of doing well. So I believe in that company.
When you look at some of these companies like that, like a Rocket Lab, which is probably selling at a traditional, high valuations based on price of sales or maybe not making money. Does that worry you at all, a little bit at all? I mean, when you look at that at all, or are you just saying to yourself, hey, 10 years from now, it'll grow into that? How do you tell, like, how do you kind of resolve all that, right? Because you see a lot of stocks that will trade these high valuations on, some of it is a hype, right? Some of it is real. So how do you kind of look at the playing
Yeah, I
field like
mean,
that and get comfortable with that?
yeah, of course. I mean, so what I do when in case of Rocket, it depends on the company, right? But in the case of Rocket Web, I would say that price to sales is in comparison with some other stocks like Firefly or I'd say SpaceX. It's in that field. So and all these companies are actually growing pretty fast. So if you look at SpaceX, to not just focus on Rocket Lab, if you look at SpaceX, then the valuation was like, I'm not even sure how fast it grew, but a year ago it was something like 400 billion. Then it was like 500 uh, in the June, and now it's some estimates and some analysts are saying it's worth like even 800 billion. So and in this year we will also maybe see IPO, right, and which could grow the valuation to to some estimates to a trillion and a half. So these are like fast growing companies because they have the service, they have the product that is needed, and it's performing well. So
Mhm.
that's something that I focus when I look at this valuation. Does this company have the product or service that the customers need? And uh, you know just the product, service, and demand. That's what I look at.
Mm, okay, great. So when you look at like for me, for example, when I invest in any kind of, this the space, if you want to call it, industry, I'm doing it from like a pretty boring point of view. I'm trying to find these companies that are kind of established and are maybe playing in it somehow, maybe offering components, maybe to a Rocket Lab, for example, right? Or pieces of the puzzle. Um,
Mhm.
to these maybe startups or maybe higher growth companies. Um, do you look at any of those guys? Do you look at those that maybe aren't creating anything spectacular, but are still providing an essential need and service? Like I can tell you, like a Frequency Electronics is a stock of a company we invested in here.
Mhm.
I mean, I did personally. I still have it. It's in our we covered it geo investing. It's in our quality index at my investment cliff note Substack. Um, so they help make components to help control precision and timing of certain processes like GPS, for example, and even with satellites, because it's a really important part of it. So something like that, for example, I mean, the components, the boring stuff. Do you look at that maybe in anything you're doing at all in terms of for your portfolio at all, or even talking about it on your Substack at all?
So I mean, there are many companies that are doing components, right? So I'm not sure which components would you be interested in, or is it your question more like generally? Uh,
Just generally, yeah. Do you see opportunity for some of these established
Mhm.
companies that are maybe transitioning to basically offering services, and to equipment or just boring, pick and shovel stuff to this industry at all?
Mhm. I mean, some good example here would be maybe Endurosat. So that's private company, so it's not like a public one. That's the company that's been like taking away a lot of fame because they managed to do they managed to do a lot of very good. Like they started in Bulgaria like a few years ago, like 10 years or something. I'm not sure about the exact date, but then they emerged into one of the leading companies that is now selling like components to the whole space industry, and they managed to do that very quickly. So that's something that came to my mind. You know, these type of companies, but they're like more privately owned, right?
Right.
And then there was like a lot of investors that were very skeptical, like why should I invest in space technology? Space tech doesn't return money and things like that. But after seeing like this company, most of them regret it, right? And they wanted to be part of that. Of course, not all companies are like that, but that's one example, of the company that's selling components and that's been doing that very successfully.
Right.
Yeah, I look at these kind of companies as well, but more like from private like company side, right?
Okay, I'm gonna send you some symbols when we're done. I mean, I'm gonna send you a FEIM. There's another one, a VELO. Um, they actually have a well, it's gone up a lot already, but they actually are doing stuff with SpaceX. I think components, 3D printing of components. Um, FEIM. I'll send you a few of them. I'm just curious to see what you would think about them.
Okay,
And
sure.
see where they might fit in, and because I know, like it'd be awesome to hear your opinion on that. Um, One thing I'm kind of in. There's a company also. I don't know if you know this one. I thought it's the ACCMF is the OTC symbol. It's called AC Clyde. I think it's called AC Clyde. Let me see here.
ACC.
Let me see here. It's I
Oh,
think it's
ACC quite. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It come across like news
Okay,
very
okay.
often.
Have you ever seen them before? Have you seen it before?
I
Have
did.
you?
I didn't look into it in details, so I'm not sure what to say about them.
Right.
Um,
I'm just getting into it now, so maybe we can talk about that later,
yeah, sure.
at some other time. I think they make low orbit or medium low orbit satellites, and they're going through a stage now where I guess they're project oriented revenue. They make the satellites for different projects, like for the maybe the for the weather segment. Um, Across the board, but they also have, I think, a data analytics piece of it where they
Mhm.
actually embed software into what they're doing to have a recurring revenue kind of business. So that I wanted that to lead into like that. Like I'm wondering if there's an interesting investment case for the services like these. What's obvious with some of them. There's a data component here too somewhere here, right? Where basically there's companies that are basically helping to collect data, analyze data, and do things with
Yeah,
that data. That's
yeah.
an
I mean,
area. I don't know if there's anything on the private side you're looking at there or a public side that you're looking at that interests you at all. But
uh, I didn't see that from public ones. So when it comes to public stocks, I often I have in coverage Rocket Lab, so I'm tracking what they do like each quarter. SpaceX, I will be prepared when they do IPO, so I will cover all the business segments of them.
Mhm.
I will probably look to get into coverage like a few more public stocks, but more like Planet Labs, probably EST Mobile Space. So when I take like coverage, so when I take stock into a coverage, I look at their liquidity, right? And EAC quite doesn't have that much liquidity. So,
Right.
but
It,
I can look into it like from like a top level, perspective.
I think they have I think they're long. I think are they Stockholm? I got to look at what exchange they're on. I think the home symbol is maybe fairly liquid. The OTCC one is the one I gave you is not liquid at all, but I think it mirrors the home base one. So it
Mhm.
hasn't moved. It hasn't really moved much. It had a little bit of a move a year ago, and they haven't reached profitability targets yet. But what I've learned here through talking to different people is these like low orbit. Is it MELO and is it or MELO? Is it low orbit and mid orbit satellites are
Uh,
really
Lower orbit,
a
LEOs,
trade,
they call it.
and that's really an interesting place to be in right now, right? Is what I'm hearing.
I mean, yes, of course. The technology is getting better. So when it comes to space, there are like a lot of let's say environmental effects. I would say that don't exist on Earth. So there needs to be a different type of materials, and also the companies that build these first are having competitive advantage. So, for instance, like some average lifespan of a satellite is like 7 years or something like that. So, if there is like a company that builds some hardened material that is able to prolong that life span to like 9, 10 years, everybody will buy for them, right? From them.
Right.
So it's interesting to follow these kind of advancements and then seeing like if some company will be able actually to make some kind of breakthrough. And yes, I mean satellites are very important today because there is like a lot of services on Earth, let's say commercially that people use. So and that's actually I think the first step in space technology that's going to be pretty like developed, right?
Right.
So
So there's this new thing. You have a article here, the rise of data centers in space. Um, I think what is solving Earth's growing digital demands. Can you talk about
mhm.
what's going on there and how you view this development and how real you think it really is going to be, and have you thought about that at all in time frames and how that maybe even affects the data center world here in on Earth or I mean on our not in space.
Yeah, I mean the biggest let's say trouble with data centers in space is actually how you will cool down the you know the the material, so the computing, right? So that's also something that let's say consumes a lot of energy on Earth, but that's not solved in space either, uh, because in
Interesting.
space, on one side you have or let's say high temperature, like 150 degrees, and on the other side you have freezing, where there is no sun. You have freezing temperature like minus 150 degrees. So this material is very, needs to be very specific, not the ones that we use here on Earth. And there is the current technology is using like some kind of, let's say, radiators that are dispersing this heat uh, into like large radiators. But to build and put like large radiator in space, you need a lot of money. So there is like a lot of cost. So it's not that much efficient. So there are like a lot of companies that are now looking at this type of technology, because there is no, I forgot to mention that there is no air in space, so you can't actually disperse like heat in some kind of traditional ways that we know on Earth. So you need to do it like through radiator. That's why that's the primary right focus right now. So but there are like a lot of I mean not that much, like a lot of, let's say, hype around this right now, and a lot of talks are being discussed, how this will develop, uh, but I'm not sure what conclusion is it's currently like in the
Yeah.
it's in the progress, so it will be interesting to see how that develops. There are like
Well,
a few companies
I think to
working
me,
on
it's like, I think from like my perspective, I'd be looking at it in terms of, all right, well, maybe it's years out, but there could be stocks maybe that try and start solving those problems now, right?
it.
And maybe some of our readers will say, oh, okay, well, we can look out for those, and maybe I know some of these stocks can go crazy, right? If they're even if they're not legit, which is unfortunate, but it's good to note that the similar problems that are happening here on Earth in terms of energy, cooling, are going to play similar factors in space. But not only it's not only just the direct need to be able to control temperature, but it's also it looks like even the material, the components have to be made in certain ways so they last in space. I think that's what you're really saying here too, right? And even the solutions that provide solve the problems in space have to be made in certain ways so they don't, so they survive too, right? And they have
Yeah,
they have a life cycle that works, makes sense.
yeah. I mean, there is like a lot of uh, let's say struggles that need to be overcome first to be able to do that. But the company that will be will be able to do that efficiently, uh, it could emerge, very very fast, right? Because putting that in space is leaves a lot of room here on Earth. So that's like the benefit, of course. And if we find the way, how to code this technology more efficiently with the code side of the space, I think it could enable like big data centers to be built in space. So there's like also a lot of advantages that can be done.
Great. So when you look at the commercial versus the commercial opportunities versus the government opportunities, I mean, do you look at one that you prefer most right now, or have you dissected both? And are you looking for companies that kind of serve both those areas?
So when it comes to like commercial opportunities, I would say that they are emerging. So as I think mentioned before. So I mean, when you look at venture capitals and private investors, they're looking almost always for commercial opportunities because that's their business model, right? So once we once we have like the more like problems being solved here on Earth, there is also more commercial opportunities coming, um, and that's where also private investors get in. So they are usually like or let's say a smart capital investors that can also help these companies promote their solutions or technology, and then what they do, they also expand this company and uh, help them in that way. But so that's how that's from the commercial side that I can say. But on the government side, it's mandatory. So all companies in space technology need to. The biggest clients are usually governments because they order the most, right? Um, and all of these companies that are in space usually have some kind of connection with I mean connection like. They usually sell also products and services to government, so they need to be good in having like a lot of connections and be good diplomatic like leaders as well. So that's when it comes to the government, and investors are usually also in some way connected with that as well.
Right. And let's look at another trend here. We talk data centers. I see an article you're here back in just recently. I think Pharma in orbit with Axiom Space insights from Gavin Delia.
Mhm.
So Pharma in orbit. Can you give us a little synopsis? What's going on there? What we should know about that? What's the buzz there?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, there are like a lot of investors and companies that are very interested in developing that kind of technology. So when it comes to technology pharma being developed on Earth, there is like the gravity that is, uh, let's say, uh, having part in developing that kind of technology. But in orbit, like in space, there isn't like gravity, logically. So what happens is that usually like molecules that are like forming are, let's say, forming slower. uh, there are like a few like videos that can explain that much better than I, but because they're forming like a bit slower, and that's just one thing that's in space. Um, then let's say researchers can actually research this technology from like another different viewpoint, right? And that gives them, let's say, like advantage that they don't have on Earth. Uh, and then they put like there is like these labs that they have on ISS, so International Space Station, and they do like a lot of research that there. They put like small labs where they, trying to find another drug or something, like I mean another cure that could cure cancer or something like that. And if they are able to do that, then it would be like very successful company, I think so. um, and Axiom Space is one of those companies, one of the biggest in space, that is developing not just pharma in space, but they're developing their own space station. Right? So because ISS will be, let's say, depreciated in a few years, and then there will be like commercial space station emerging in from US, right? And Axiom Space is the one provider that is actually building that. And when they build like this station, they will also put like labs where they would examine all kinds of experiments to hopefully find some new, let's say, cures that would help a lot of humans.
Great, great. And who like and before we go to that next question, so I'll just say real quick, a quote from your article uh, on this company here, Axiom. You have an article here. Yeah, it's just you interviewed the company or someone from the company. Uh, we um, we aimed to explore how space and specifically microgravity can help overcome challenges that hinder progress here on Earth. And then you have here, hmm, let's see. By removing gravity, we changed this is from the company, I guess, Axiom Space, in terms of their profile. By removing gravity, we change the way our bodies function, our cells behave, our proteins express, and our drugs take shape. These changes are significant and are innovation zones at the frontier of discovery. So I guess what they're saying is there's ways you can do and see things on space that you couldn't do here, maybe to some degree. So what I see here so far from, we've talked about two trends now. We talked about data center as a major trend that I think public and investors that invest in public companies would like to understand more. I think this is an interesting frontier to understand more for even because I could see a public company getting involved in this, at least this narrative somehow, right? Maybe we'll
Yeah.
see. But there's also there's probably going to be like the picks and shovel play in space one day too, right? To make all this stuff, which is an interesting thing to pay attention to, I think, long term, if you want to go there. Is there anything else like trend wise that you think is theme wise that you might think is worth exploring or paying attention to specifically that you like right now? We've talked about the data centers, pharma. We talked about software, data. Um, you know,
I mean, yes, there is like satellites, so they are providing all kinds of I would say services on Earth, like Earth observation, but also when it comes to weather, temperature. So there are like a lot of companies that are doing that for decades already. In short term, what we could see also is emerging like space tourism. There are like a few companies that are building also, let's say, these stations for uh, space tourism. And a week ago, I also saw one startup that started to offer tickets to their hotel on the moon that's going to be built in 2031. So
Really? Wow.
yeah, and then these kind of companies will be able to emerge, let's say, sooner, uh, if and when actually SpaceX, let's say, produces Starship, because that will enable all the space technology to lower even more, like of putting something into space, right? So the cost becomes lower, and a lot of emerging technologies will emerge even more. Um, so of course, with that comes like more longer time horizon, like moon and Mars. But that's something like a bit down the horizon. So I think we have like a pretty good overview of what's happening right now.
Great. And I will say that AC Clyde Space, that one was ACCMF, does do weather monitoring. They make satellites for that industry. I know that too, and the data, just aggregation and feedback. So that might be interesting to keep on that theme. That's as a public company that some of us can take a look at. All right, great, great. So I see also on your on your Substack here, we can as we wrap this up here, um, you do actually, well, I guess describe your Substack. What when people subscribe to your Substack, what are they getting?
So first, what everybody gets is the weekly news. So each week on Sunday, I publish what happened that week in space technology. So I track the public companies that we spoke about, not all the some of them. Then I track also the private companies and a lot of M&A and funding. So yeah, exactly that. Then I also track like metrics from public companies. I want to give the readers, a short recap what is happening and what kind of metrics there are.
Oh,
And
there she
that's
is. They're like AC Clyde right there. Look at that. Nice.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
And it grew 17%. Nice.
Yeah.
Um,
So we can track public companies here too, which is nice. That's nice. So you are tracking to some
yeah, yes.
beautiful. Yeah.
That's something that I publish each week, and then I also have the articles, interviews. When it comes to articles, there is like the most, let's say, trendy technology in space, right? Just like we talked about, whether it's data centers, which is a pretty hot topic, or let's say space tech hype IPO. So that's all included, and then also interviews from all the players in space technology, for example, like Axiom Space, and then we also have VC, let's say, people. So I'm asking them what they're looking for, how they're investing, how they're de-risking, and all these type of content I bring. So it's let's say intersection of space technology and business case commercialization, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
What's the brainy thing? I see brainy over here. What's this?
So it's currently underdeveloped. I always have like new technology. I mean, new developments. Brainy, uh, you can try it. I think you need to start it up. Yes, just press this blue button.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Okay.
So
Ask
it's
any.
yeah,
Okay.
it's like it also I use it sometimes. Also, I created it for me and whoever wants to use it. That's why put it there. Um, so you
Beautiful.
can ask like a question, and then it will lead you through to the content that to answer that question.
I like that. That's nice. That's very clever. So, beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
I think and you cover there's some I saw some articles about some conferences. You talk about what conferences are coming up, I think here, maybe potentially. I saw that maybe. Maybe I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So of course, conferences are one of the ways to meet a lot of space tech people on one place, and a lot of companies and a lot of investors. That's why I track that kind of information as well. I also go to these conferences, not all, but some of them. So if anybody needs also help, finding which conference could be good for them, or anything else, they can find it probably on Substack. This kind of information as well. And I'm also building now a course for anybody that's wanting to emerge into space tech, and I will let's say cover all the introductory things, what's happening in space tech, and I will put that course as well on my website.
Will
So
it be a live course or a recorded online course?
so it will be recorded at first. Then I will see how it emerges and how much interest is there, and things like that. For now, there was interest for this let's say recorded course. A shorter type, so 1 to 3 hours. So I will probably do that like in the next month or something like that. Yeah.
Excellent. I know I'm doing a course. I do I haven't talked about it much, but it's a multi-bagger course. I've been
Mhm.
doing it live, and I think it's been really great. So
Okay.
I think I think people like it. I mean, I'm seeing that it's helping me too when when I'm doing these courses. It's helping me dig into things and actually recalibrate my own discipline along the way too, and find new things.
Yeah,
Great, man. So okay, well, I guess anything else we got to cover, man? You think we think we got it all?
I
Anything?
think we got it all.
Nice. All right. Well,
Mm.
I look forward to having you back again
Yeah,
in the future. And again, tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter, on Substack, and
yeah. The best place is Substack, Cyclops Space Tech, or LinkedIn. You can type my name and surname, and then just connect with me. Happy to answer any question that you have or anything else. I'm pretty responsive, so I usually answer to all my questions. So just shoot away.
all right, excellent. Right. Well, we've been here with Matej Prajkovic, and we'll get that all sorted out later. But thank you. And so we've been talking on Substack. We didn't. I don't like to do the when I do these skull sessions. I like them to be very impromptu. So we haven't talked before. This is the first time we talked. So I love you were able to answer a lot of questions impromptu, which has been fantastic. And I really appreciate you being here today. It shows your expertise in the industry and space here. So can't wait to have you come back again and wish you luck in your Substack.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, man. Take it easy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.